House of Representatives toed the path of the senators by passing the bill and leaving the mode of transmission of election results to INEC to decide. Lawmakers from the opposition, PDP, staged a walkout, and later on the show, Governor Yahya Bello raises the alarm over fleeing terrorists and bandits camping in Kogi State as gunmen abduct traditional ruler, demand 30 million naira ransom. I will be hanging out with Emeka Madunagu and Asuko James. Journalist Hangout starts now. Of course, there is much ado about electronic voting in Nigeria, and the groundswell of opinion precipitated what transpired at both chambers of the National Assembly during voting on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The Senate witnessed a shouting match before voting on the matter on Thursday, leaving the fate of electronic transmission of election results to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the National Communications Commission, NCC, and the National Assembly itself. The same scenario played out at the House of Representatives, forcing the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, to adjourn till Friday. Now the lower legislative chamber has toed the path of the senators by passing the bill and leaving the mode of transmission of election results to INEC to decide. Lawmakers from the opposition, PDP, staged a walkout over the contending Clause 52 of the bill, which was left out. At this point, the new amendment provides that INEC may consider electronic transmission so far as the national network coverage is adjudged to be adequate and secure by the NCC and approved by the National Assembly. Let's share the House of Representatives story with you before we go into our discussion.
Honorable colleagues,
after Thursday's fireworks, the legislators are back to resume the clause-by-clause consideration of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, but the thorny Section 52 subsection 2 still stands in their way as opposing camps maintain their grounds. The NCC team is on hand to provide further insight that will enable members take informed decision.
the most common here, for instance, is
The Commission says only about 50% of Nigeria's 119,000 polling units are covered with network.
half of the polling units were covered with 2G/3G services. That is both 2G and 3G services. Roughly about 50.3% of those. Then about 49.7% did not have any coverage at all.
Just before the House resolved into the Committee of the Whole, the Speaker advised that all other clauses be considered while they return to the controversial Section 52 much later.
Against any, that's a bit.
At the Committee of the Whole, the minority leadership insists ruling was not taken on the clause on Thursday, but the Deputy Speaker ruled otherwise and another round of commotion broke out.
I wouldn't think that it will do us any favor or we gain any advantage if we begin to presume that we have voted on 52.
And the opposition members staged a walkout.
If you are saying you are not part of it, it's a different entirely. You are entitled to our opinion, and that's the meaning of democracy. Thank you very much. We are grateful.
The walkout paves way for the passage of the bill for third reading, as the House also considered and passed the conference report on PIB. The Speaker then gives reasons why INEC should use its discretion to determine which manner of result transmission to use.
This PIB will not suffer the same fate it has been suffering for the past 20 years. If there's any need in future, we can amend whatever there is to amend in future. But for now, it has been passed by the Senate. We have rules to follow. And it is those rules that we are following now.
Lawmakers have proceeded on their annual vacation to resume on the 14th of September. All committee activities have also been suspended by the Speaker to enable legislators have adequate rest and bond more with their family members. Joke Edsa, TVC News, Abuja.
Yes, members of the House of Representatives, they're disagreeing over Section 52. And as we start off, let me welcome my guests. First of all, to my left, I have Emeka Madunagu, Welcome to Journalist Hangout. It's good to hang
evening,
out with you again.
Yes.
And of course, Asoko James.
Yeah. Good evening. Thanks.
It's good to hang out with you. So, given the events of last week, of course, we had already heard governors across party lines stating their position that the next president must come from the South, and that they were opposed to the removal of the clause on electronic transmission of results from the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. So are you surprised by what has transpired in both houses of the National Assembly this week?
Well, I'm not entirely surprised because what transpired is more about, interest, because it's not, most of them will always say they are doing everything in the interest of the country. But if they go outside and begin to check the temperature of the people outside, they will know that it's far, far different from their decisions on the floor of the House or even the Senate. This morning I was trying to listen to some of the comments from people left, right, and center on the decisions that were taken by some senators to actually, agree or disagree. And there was one particular one that I heard that is our constituent actually told her that she should vote against electronic transmission of election result. So, and if you look at that, it means that one, she actually threw it to our constituents and they agreed that it should be removed.
Would you like to disclose
no,
location?
No, because that is what I heard. It is something that I need to also investigate that because, So, and looking at what really transpired is, like I said yesterday, we are supposed to move forward once it comes to our democratic practice. But what happened is we are trying to go back. I know what they are trying to do. They do not want to make it in such a way that electronic transmission of results will be done ASAP. Because they've seen what happened in Ondo and Edo. And if, for instance, most of them are put on the ballot paper, they know deep down that if they say electronic transmission of results should be done immediately, most of them might not even come back because they've not even achieved 1/3 or even they've not even done what they are supposed to do, not to talk of what they promised. Because they didn't, all the promises they made, most of them, they've not fulfilled. Most of them. So because I saw some PDP members walking out, this morning or this afternoon, I was like, you don't need to walk out. At least state your case. Because I was surprised that the deputy speaker would jump. Because yesterday, we were here before we even came to Journalist Hangout yesterday. Clause 52 was very contentious. And everybody was waiting, and that was why the speaker stood up to calm Frednas and say, okay, fine. Let's move till tomorrow. Invite NCC, invite INEC, so that they will give us a better idea of if it's possible for us to transmit, results electronically. So I had expected, as somebody who is honorable, to start from that clause and not for him to jump from clause 52 to 54. It speaks a lot about his own character, the kind of person he is, and also because there are so many millions of people who are also watching.
Perhaps it has to do with the interest that you talked about earlier on.
Yeah, but the thing is,
so
it tells a lot about...
Whose interests are the majority favoring now?
No matter whatever is being played out on the floor of the House today, people will be so disappointed in the character of people that we have as leaders. And I think everybody should look at it. They are not going to be there forever. It's either you stay there 8 years, you stay there 12 years. If God permits, you stay another 16 years. If God permits, you stay another 20 years. But the thing is, you will not stay there forever. So whatever you do, always remember that at some point, the future will always come back to haunt you. And that is what our legislators, our lawmakers should always think about.
Emeka, your thoughts?
You know, is
Are you surprised?
it's well, Nigerian politicians can never surprise me because it's a cyclical, just cyclical motion. It just that they go to the National Assembly to further their own interests, not the interests of Nigerians. Interestingly, Ike Ekweremadu, who was Deputy Senate President, all the time he headed the Constitution Review Committee. Ike Ekweremadu never thought for 1 minute to listen to what Nigerians were saying, that the Constitution should outlaw defections. Today, APC is benefiting from defections from PDP. PDP is crying. Can you see that? Yesterday, Ike Ekweremadu was absent. He ran away. He and some others ran away. 62 voted against the electronic transmission. 28 voted for it. 28 disappeared. What does that tell you? These people don't have the interest of Nigerians at heart. I've been in the profession of journalism long enough for me to sit down and I can tell you on any issue where these people will go to. They are totally divorced from the reality. They are totally divorced from the interests of Nigerians, this National Assembly. So the point is this, you see, it's going to come back to haunt them. Because you see, when PDP had the chance to say no more, no to defections, they thought, what was his name? One of their former chairmen, said PDP will rule for 60 years. Obulafo, Vincent Obulafo, that's, who breathes, that drunkenness of power, PDP will rule for 60 years. And so they just felt that they had the world at their feet, so they could do anything. Lo and behold, along the line, PDP was kicked out of power. And the same PDP people who were singing that, the strange mantra that PDP will be in power for 60 years, suddenly now started running to the APC. And then now in the APC, the same character is what they've taken to the APC. And what are we seeing now? So electronic transmission of results, which will significantly boost confidence in the electoral process. Because you know what? I'm not a politician. I don't have any intention to join any political party or vie for election or vie for office. But you see, it is in the interest of the people that you see when they go stand in the rain, stand in the sun to vote, that they have confidence that their votes will be respected. Not that when counting gets to the collection centers overnight, then magic begins to happen. Strange things begin to happen. So what are we just asking these people to do? You are the practitioners in this process. You are the people who will mainly benefit if the electoral process, is significantly boosted. If confidence in the electoral process is significantly boosted, But if you make you are now making the same mistake that PDP made some years ago. Ekweremadu was there sitting as chairman of Constitution Review Committee and never cared about what Nigerians were saying. Outlaw, put it in the Constitution that defections should be outlawed. Today, Ekweremadu couldn't stand to say no, it disappeared. Today, what you had, that was yesterday. He couldn't stand. You see the verdict of history. He couldn't stand that, oh, look at it. These are things, this is something he moral ground. What was he running away from yesterday? The verdict of history. Because if he had done this when he was chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, and when the PDP was in power, the PDP had the majority, the PDP had the presidency, the PDP had the majority in the Senate and the House of Representatives. The PDP had a commanding authority across the states. So in terms of, getting the Constitutional Review, getting such a provision, approved by the state would have been so easy. But you know what? They thought they own today and they own tomorrow. But now, you see, these same people are going into hiding. Today, PDP reps staged a walkout. I'll just advise them that, listen, the game you played in the past with the feelings of Nigerians is coming to haunt you.
Haunt you.
And listen, you see, in 2023, it's as clear as ABC that we will continue to suffer the problem of rig the elections. Because if elections are not
Emeka, let's pick
electronically,
let's pick the minds of the PDP. Let's try and see what's going through their minds. Do you think that perhaps, you know, they're staging a walkout and, you know, being passionately, favorably disposed towards electronic transmission of results because they want a truly democratic process, or because they're confident that the APC is not going to win the election, perhaps it could swing the way of the PDP? Do you think that they have the interest of Nigerians at heart in all of this? Emeka, Asukwo, you this time.
What they are just trying to do is just to whip up sentiment, as far as I'm concerned. You know, deep down within them, they know that if they even say, okay, put that electronic transmission, because what they are looking at now is that things are bad in the country, and that Nigerians, if they are to say, okay, the election is today, Nigerians will vote them. You understand? That is why they are now. That's why they are. I'm telling you, deep down within them, that is why they are saying that they want the electronic transmission of results.
Just riding the
because it is just public opinion.
It's not basically that
it's not that they believe in it.
So if the PDP was in power,
that they would
probably the APC would have done this. It's just about a game of musical chairs shuffling. If the APC was on this side, PDP was on this side, this is the same thing that would have happened.
Yes. So it's the same thing deep down within them. Because let me tell you, if eventually the likes of Lumelu that worked out today and all of them, by the time they come back after their recess, the music will change. You won't even hear about this clause 54 again, or 52. You won't hear about it anymore. They will only shout and shout and shout, nothing will happen. Because by the time they harmonize, my fear is that if they harmonize and then they begin to say that based on what happened at the Senate, and they agree to the Senate, which is, I want to read that of the Senate, that the Commission may consider electronic transmission of results provided the national coverage is adjudged to be adequate and secure by the National Communication Commission and approved by the National Assembly. So it means that
it still comes back to them.
So it means the independence of INEC is eroded. Is being questioned because right now you cannot give somebody something and then behind you are using another hand to.
Yes, you are removing the IN. There's not dependent National Electoral Commission.
You know, so the thing is, if we really want independence of INEC, allow INEC to do the job. Let them be truly independent. Give them everything they need. I want to see if Mr. President would agree to sign this bill by the time they send it to him. Because I know Mr. President has always advocated for INEC to be given the independence. Because I know Mr. President is always talking about credible elections for Nigeria. So I want to see if the President will assent to this particular bill by the time it comes to his desk.
But if INEC were given the independence that everyone is clamoring for on this critical decision of acceding to electronic transmission of results, can popular interest be guaranteed, Emeka? Well, are you sure, can you beat your chest to say that INEC would favor electronic transmission of results?
Well, that would be a big risk, running a big risk, because INEC has not done much to assure the public, I'm part of the general public, to assure the general public that Nigerians can trust that it will be impartial, that it will be truly independent. INEC has not really done much since 1998.
Because even the element of
but the interesting
voter
thing,
cards.
Yeah, if you go back, you see this drama is just a repeat of what happened in 2006 when Naba was Speaker of the House of Reps. There was a similar drama over certain issues. If you throw back.
Okay, hold on throwback. Yes. We have a call from Ibadan. Good evening.
Good evening.
You're on. Go ahead.
Thank you. After 6 years, in the very middle of the second term, we are still being told if it same way with PDP. Now, people will say PDP is not offering a strong enough opposition, an opposition leading party. Is it to take up arms before it will be recognized as opposition? Listen to the kind of genuine and elementary defense for the rascality, legislative rascality that we witnessed today and yesterday. Please stop right in your studio there. If it were PDP, they would do the same. Is that the kind of thing we want? Is that the way in which to lead, responsible citizenship?
All right, thank you very much, sir. The line was not so clear. I was wondering what exactly his position was. Okay,
I was saying, if you go back to 2006, when there were issues, about, which version of the electoral bill was authentic. There were issues, they went back and forth. And, of course, at that time, Naba and Obasanjo weren't, good times. So, of course, the National Assembly used that to also hit at, they used the opportunity to hit at the president. But you see, one thing I'd like us to know is this. Nature is dynamic. Elections are a process. They keep evolving. They keep evolving. Now, if the National Assembly right now won't take advantage of this historic opportunity to say, okay, let's move ahead, let's leapfrog into the 21st century and say that, okay, let the electoral process be more transparent. Okay, right, you could put certain conditions for INEC to meet. You've said, okay, I understand Deputy Senate President was saying that that the telecoms companies don't have total coverage of the country. But I know that there is a telecom, a telco that says it has 88.9 coverage of Nigeria, 88.9% coverage of Nigeria.
As a matter of fact, the executive chairman of the National Communications Commission, in his testimony to the House, said that no system is 100% fail-safe. So, based on that professional opinion, shouldn't the decision have sufficed in favor of electronic transmission of results?
It's just like saying that weather forecasts cannot be 100% relied upon. Sometimes they could say it will rain, and it doesn't rain. But that doesn't mean that people have stopped forecasting the weather. So when you're trying to say that, you see, these people shouldn't try to think that we are not intelligent enough to unravel basic issues. And what is the basic issue here? We are supposed to have satellites in service, but we've been told that those satellites are not performing optimally. That is if they're even performing at all. So what should you do? Put the right environment, put the right things in place so that we can move forward. What we spend on elections in this country is so much. Other sectors are suffering. Education, health, social services, security. Other sectors are suffering because you spend billions on elections. And at the end of the day, politicians will still go to court. They'll still go to the tribunal, up to the Supreme Court. So you now wonder, with all the billions, deployment of tens of thousands of security agents, with all of that, you shut down movement, you shut down the country, businesses are suffering, people can't go to work. Then at the end of the day, we still come back to the tribunals, we start the tortuous process to the Supreme Court. Now, it is not the wishes of the people that have been decided upon. Now the courts become a part of the electoral process, which to me should not be. But you see, insofar as the Constitution gives that and the Electoral Act give that power to the courts, you see, politicians will just keep groping in the dark. They'll just keep going around, on a barber's chair, just be going around. It is in their own interest. It's their own interest not to travel that same route of not doing something about defection.
On the courts.
Because you see, the fact that elections favored you today doesn't mean they will keep favoring you.
All right, let's take another caller from Jos. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, my sister. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Bob. Bob calling from Jos. Yeah, this is Bob calling from Jos.
Bob, go ahead.
Yes, the display of the display of these honorable in the house, does it really prove them honorable? Does it really prove them honorable? That is the question we should be asking ourselves now. Does it really prove them honorable? Are they aware that the world is watching them? You understand me? Are they aware that the world is watching them? Is there any crime being an opposition? Is there any crime being an opposition? What they are asking for from the past election we have been doing, you understand? You can see professor when it comes to declare results. It's like at times he will carry his his glasses to see what is going to read out. The last one we just did, 2019. You can see a professor of university carry glass when he couldn't see what is the figure. He couldn't see it. He has to take glass. Is that how we should be going, for God's sake? Is not a disgrace? It's not a disgrace. We should look into this. Not about party. It's about the nation. It's about the nation.
Thank you very much, Bob from Jos. Asuko, I'm interested in knowing whether you have a contrary position on, what INEC would do if given that critical decision to make. Would it be truly independent?
If INEC is supposed to be independent, what INEC should be, asking the National Assembly is for them to be independent, truly independent. Now, even when the NCC representative was there, I was trying to listen to some of the questions they were asking. They were supposed to be asking him what it will cost, for us to, if he says 50%, what will it cost Nigeria for us to have 100% coverage? Because 2023 is still 2 years from now. So what will it cost Nigeria to have 100% coverage? That is one. Two, then you now bring INEC. INEC, will it be possible if so amount of money is given to NCC? Will you partner with NCC for us to have those equipment, or which equipment will you even get? You can ask all those critical questions that will make it in such a way that those who are saying that it is not possible, they'll look at it from another perspective and make it possible. Because what they have succeeded in doing is to look at it as if it can never be possible. Because you can't tell me that even in Borno, people do not make calls. Yes, there might be one or two masts that the bandits would have destroyed. But you can't tell me that there are some places that they are not making calls.
Elections
the critical question is, should Nigeria even
IDP camps? So because even in Borno, IDP camps, they still bring out results. How do they do it?
Should Nigeria even wait for those who are still technologically behind? Shouldn't the nation move forward? And your response, Atuko, brings me to another concern or another possibility, the prospect of, the cost-benefit analysis, eliminating physical presence from the electoral process. But we'll talk about that. You're watching Journalists Hangout. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. It's still Journalists Hangout on TVC News. Our first topic is the National Assembly's position with regards to the Electronic Act Amendment Bill, specifically the electronic transmission of results. We're turning over in our minds the position of PDP lawmakers to this as they staged a walkout at the lower chamber following the consideration of that clause in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. So my guests, Emeka Madunago and Asuko James, we've looked sufficiently at the topic, but we're about to wrap up now before we go to our next topic. So the prospects now, are they exhaustively looking at, the give and take, what INEC could gain from it and what the country could gain from it as a whole?
From the new...
Yes, Electronic transmission of election
No, everybody
results?
knows that if results are electronically transmitted, it makes the work faster. Rather than spending 3 days tabulating with hand, making using calculator, giving some people contracts for them to buy calculators, it's easy. All you need to do is, even NGOs, I remember during the Edo election, Yaga, so many observers, they even had the results already because they had their teams across all the wards. So immediately those results were there, they are pasted, they were snapping because INEC had a portal then. So they were sending all those things and people were tabulating. There's a machine that tabulates. So immediately you are knowing the one that is going to party A, party B, and all that. INEC can, invest in that. They already have it. So what we are supposed to do is to better what INEC already has. So that we don't need to go back and begin to use hands.
About deploying
so many
INEC officials.
Because let me tell you, by the time you will start to deploy, you are going to buy generator, look for NYSC core members that will go and begin to man everywhere and things like that. No, we do not need so many people. By now, we should see how we can streamline the electoral process. That even if I am at home, I should be able to say, okay, I want to vote. We are even talking about electronic voting. This one, we have not even talked about voting. We are talking about transmitting results. Next year or in 4 years' time, we'll be talking about electronic voting. And I hope this is not the same way that it will be brought down or stepped down. So let's find our politicians, our lawmakers should always look how they are doing these things outside. If they are doing it well, let's copy from them. Because I noticed that most times, most of them travel. When once it's holiday season, they go. They respect the laws there. They don't respect our own. And they see how it's being done over there. But when once they come here, they want to turn the tables around to favor them. So let's make the electoral process easier, simple, and let it be more credible. Because that is the only way we can now hold people accountable. Because if the elections are not, credible, I can't hold anybody accountable. If people did not actually vote somebody, the person who has not been voted by the people will not even send anybody because he believes that he actually paid himself to get there. So but when most elections are credible and the person knows how he got there, he will always listen to his people. And then once he gets there, nothing will make him want to fight the people because he knows that he was actually voted there.
Actually, yeah. Emeka, your final words on it.
Yeah, for me, you see, electronic transmission, manual transmission will be done by human beings. The basic thing is this: electoral officials should learn to speak the truth and to fear God. Because even if it's electronic transmission, if we allow the Nigerian factor to get in the way, you'll be surprised that a new set of tactics in rigging, in manipulating the results will still come up. What we need are individuals who are like Caesar's wife, above board. People with impeccable integrity who will deploy themselves in the interest of the nation. So if we say, okay, for now, due to certain reasons, we cannot wholly adopt electronic transmission of results, but you see, the magic that usually happens at collation centers should stop. It is these people are Nigerians. We are not bringing foreigners to conduct elections for us. So if we are ready to make the electoral process transparent, if we are ready to make Nigeria work, we will see it. But so long as we keep looking for excuses to run away from doing the right thing, it doesn't matter, electronic, manual, we will still come back to the same problem.
Fear God. That's a good way to wrap up this topic. So as we move on to our next topic now, armed bandits are becoming more ubiquitous, moving from place to place to cause havoc. The Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has raised the alarm that fleeing terrorists and bandits are regrouping in his state. Governor Bello, who raised the alarm during an audience with the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amo in Lokoja, requested for an Air Force base in the state to combat the insurgents. Meanwhile, gunmen kidnapped the traditional ruler of Egoyi in Ajaokuta local government area of the state, Alhaji Mohammed Adembe. The kidnappers are demanding 30 million naira ransom for the release of the monarch. That's a rather sad one, and you know, from there we'll go on to talk more and more about insecurity, but let's stay with Kogi State. Governor Yahaya Bello is calling for the establishment of an Air Force base in Kogi, saying that this would check the activities of bandits and insurgents and also engender intelligence gathering that will work effectively, you know, to rounding them up. But the country has 17 NAF bases across the country in 17 states, and a lot of these Air Force operating bases are in states overrun by insurgents. So what difference would a NAF operating base make in Kogi State, Asukwa?
No, it will make a lot of difference, you know, because Kogi State happens to be like the central. If you are going to the north, there's no how you won't get to Lokoja, you know, and if you are coming, the same thing. So just like the governor is saying, it's just an appeal, because I know the governor has been dealing with robbers and bandits for quite some time now, but it's like these guys are, since they are regrouping, because the Nigeria Air Force, they are really doing well in the northwest and the northeast. So they are moving, finding ways that they are coming to where they will find shelter, and anywhere they find their shelter, they camp there. And I bet you what they do is other community will be raided. And so it means it's going to be a lot of work for the governor. So the governor has tried to even bring a peace in the state for quite some time. But with this, it means that for him to raise alarm, he needs the federal government's assistance. So if he wants a naval base, the chief of the air staff need to look at it and see how they can assist him. He has even said, okay, that there's a particular colonial airstrip that they can use for their forward operating base. Yes. You know, so if they can look at that idea, establish FOB there, it will make a lot of sense, so that when once the alarm is triggered, the Air Force can easily go there and eliminate these guys, because we do not want a situation whereby these guys will begin to overrun communities and become another problem.
But has it made a difference in other states that are also faced with the challenge of insurgency and banditry? In Katsina, for instance, there's an Air Force operating base there. In Kaduna, there's an Air Force operating base there.
Because it's not working in one state doesn't mean we can't try it in another state. You know, if we put a base there, I believe that if they put a base in Kogi and it's big enough, the bandits can be afraid, you know, for them to just go to a community and begin to overrun a community. And it's very, very close to the capital. You know, so the best thing is, let's even try it. Let's try the base. If it's not working, then we'll find other means, you know. But what we need now is for there to be security in Kogi.
All right, we'll come back. We'll start with Kogi, and I'd like us to also talk about the abduction of the monarch, but I'd like you to respond to the same question first of all.
Yeah, I think the governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, has really tried in terms of securing the state. I mean, this is a state that shares boundaries with 10 other states. So there's always movement from one point to the other, you know, across the state. So, and the governor has also done so much to get the people, you know, to buy into his security initiatives. So definitely getting the youths involved, you know, and raising a vigilante, you know, 3,500 member vigilante, and then also equipping and also helping the constabularies, you know, the federal constables that were brought in, you know. He has also done something for that. He has made sure that the security agencies, you know, have, you know, the right environment to work with. You know, he has given them so much cooperation. So if he's now asking that, okay, an Air Force base should be built there, you know, should be sited there, and he has even said there is a colonial airstrip, I think government shouldn't hesitate. They should, you know, move ahead, because you see, the question has been asked again. How has Yahaya Bello been able to do this? That we're not, We don't hear about communal clashes. We don't hear about attacks. We don't hear about, certain kinds of mass abductions and all those things that we hear about in some other states. How has he been able to do it? So you see, definitely you expect that somebody who has been doing that, opportunists, there will be opportunistic attempts to thwart those efforts.
Yes.
So definitely the federal government should weigh in to help, because if anything, if there's any serious threat to the security situation in Kogi, the FCT is closed, and then other states will be affected, and it will not be in the interest.
Even thinking of Kwara,
yes,
and
it
then
will not be in the
coming back
interest
down
of
to
the
South
country.
Yeah.
So definitely,
most of the states around there.
It doesn't matter. 17 Air Force bases across the country. They are for Nigerians. They are not for, foreigners. They are for Nigerians. So if you cite one in Kogi, given the central location of Kogi, sharing boundary with 10 states, of course, it's not too much, because a state like Kogi is not an oil-producing state, but with their resources, with their meager resources, they've been able to create an environment that encourages people to still travel by road, to still come to the state to do business. I think it is not too much to say, okay, let's do certain things to keep this up, so that we cannot use it as a model, working together with the governor and say, okay, Mr. Governor, how have you been able to, what strategies have you used locally? Okay, we can now sell these strategies to other states. And then with the federal government's, assistance, you see, you can now gradually restore peace to other troubled states. I think they should listen to the government. It's an urgent appeal. It's not easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy. It's not easy. Ensuring that the state is secure, even with the adoption of this traditional rule.
That's where I'm headed. It also reminds me of the attack on, the provost of the Nigerian Army, former provost, Major General Hassan Hamid, and then his wife was also abducted. But this is on Abuja-Lokoja Road.
That was outside.
Yeah. But let's look at this. Is this a sort of profiling or a random attack that has taken place here, in both cases?
Well, the thing is, just everywhere around that area. If you notice, is Lokoja and there's been Anajakuta, so it means it's Kogi.
Kogi, yeah.
So it might be random, it might be calculated, to either embarrass the governor. Nobody knows, But the thing is, the governor needs that support now, because if you notice, Niger, Ondo, virtually every day you keep hearing about robbery attacks and all that, Those states around Kogi, they've been having one issue or the other. And the governor, just like Emeka said, set up this community vigilante. What they do is just to gather intelligence, and then the neighborhood, and then feed the police.
The governor has also been fighting.
He has,
legal backing, demolishing their property, going after them. You can even see in the case of this traditional, I think one person died. I think the youths came out to resist it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if the governor has been able to get it buy-in, get the people to say, oh, this is our project, securing our state is our project, then definitely it shows that this is a thinking governor. He's thinking, he's anticipating. Of course, you will expect opportunistic attempts to thwart every effort,
the good efforts that he's making. Because if you look at it, is the areas that he is trying to secure. Abuja, Lokoja is not far from Lokoja, and Ajakuta is right in his state. So all the effort he's trying to make is like some people are just trying to see how they can milk him, because 30 million. All the time we keep hearing about this ransom. They made it like a serious business, and we don't even know where they would have taken taking the traditional.
So it's sort of to destabilize the states.
Of course, that is what it means, and that is why if the governor is asking for a forward operating base, it should be given. Let's see how it will work, and I feel that the federal government should do it, because Abuja-Lokoja is a strategic road. That expressway is a strategic road. So you can't just leave it like that and you say, okay, every time they kidnap people on that road. So the best thing is get him what he wants, and let's see how that state will. So that it becomes like the state that people will look out.
A reference point
for other states.
Yes.
You know, then from there they can pick it up and try it in Niger, try it in Katsina, in Zamfara, and things like that, and see how it will work. Because what we need now is peace. People cannot just stay in their palace and somebody will just come and pick them. People cannot even travel from one particular point to the other, and then they will not be adopted or killed. Because we want a situation whereby these guys should be nipped in the bud.
They shouldn't even be given the opportunity.
No opportunity
to even try it. No opportunity. Proactive measures.
Before they even attack, somebody should be there to
intelligence.
Deal with it, you know. And that is what those guys have been doing.
Yes.
But I tell you, that is what those guys have been doing. Community-based intelligence network. Yeah. That is what we should.
And also with deployment of technology.
Of course.
DK will talk about, relentless, aggression against insurgents and bandits, lasting months perhaps, such that, a lot of effort can be achieved in a short while. Still on insecurity, residents of Ilaramoki in Ifedore local government area of Ondo State are recounting their ordeal after daredevil armed robbers raided the only bank in the community. A journalist, a policeman, and a motorcyclist died in the attack, but the State Police Command has cordoned off the scene as a manhunt for the robbers is on. Let's share the story by TVC News Ayodeji Muradeo with you.
This bank robbery here in Ilaramoki in the federal local government area of Ondo State left many people here in total shock.
The robbery attack left sour taste in the mouths of many residents of Ilaramoki in the federal local government area of Ondo State. A journalist, a policeman, and a motorcyclist were the three victims of the attack. They were felled by the bullet of the daredevil armed robbers who raided uninterrupted, shattered windows, bloodstains of the victims, and the vehicle driven by the journalists were still visible at the scene. This retired soldier's house was attacked during the raid. The policeman was killed in the house by the dynamite used by the robbers.
Just push in and throw away stone for my face. It's from there I know that it is bomb. So from there my wife hold my hand, carry me to backyard. We open the backyard door and run to the bush to take over.
Others recount their experiences during the bank raid.
From the source of the information from the people that they came with a bear food. It's like they have information that this place, the security to the UBA used to stay here.
So we discovered that the set of them that came, they were more than the men on ground. And this is a job that Yoruba ni Mojamosa la making koju. And along the line, the police officer on duty attached to the bank was killed.
In the meantime, the robbery scene has been cordoned off by the police in the state. The State Police Command assured residents that the perpetrators will not go free.
They planned something from the way it happened and from the route they took. They already knew there was a route they were going to follow, and it would be difficult for police to follow that terrain to get to them. But we are still on their trail, and we do hope that we will get them.
This attack, no doubt, left many residents of Ilaramoki devastated, and they can only hope that security agents will bring the perpetrators to book. Ayodeji Moradeyo, TVC News, Ilaramoki.
All right, that's a report by our correspondent Ayodeji Moradeyo. Emeka, is this, as the investigations continue, to seek those who attacked, isn't government addressing the symptoms rather than the root cause of such social ills?
No, you see, the government, I'll say, is trying. Criminals too, you don't expect that they'll just repent, and all of them will repent, and there will still be those ones who will not want to engage in legitimate means, of making money. So they have devoted themselves to a life of crime and hurting people and doing all kinds of things, trying to thwart security measures put in by government, of course. But the other thing I think government needs to look at is, where do they get this dynamite from? They need to investigate those quarry sites around those areas. They need to investigate them. Look at those areas, where blasting of rocks, takes place for, granite, to get granite and, some other building materials. They need to find out, because dynamite is not something you buy in the open market. And then again, the state government and the federal government should look at the fact that Ondo is a transit state. So it's, these opportunistic, because I keep talking about opportunistic. These are not people who say, okay, this is our address. They put a signboard, okay, this is where we are. We operate from here. They just come in, strike, and run away, possibly run away from the state. So opportunistic, crime is, the government should look at it in that dimension, so that it is possible to nip supply, block source of supply to all these criminals. Whatever kinds of things, explosives and others they deploy, block the supply. And then, again, get the people, intelligence is very, very important. Get the people to talk about strange movement. When they begin to see strange movement, there should be certain numbers, dedicated lines, that short codes that the people can use to say, we've seen some strange movement, and then the security agents can move in. I mean, we've had too much of this.
So, do you agree that it's opportunistic crime, and that whatever effort government deploys to address the root causes of such crimes, some youths will still, take the option of illegitimate means of making money?
Of course, see, Abuki, even if you give some people work for them to clean, say, come on, the only thing we want to do, the only job that is available is for you to just come and clean the floor in Nigeria.
And earn a good income.
Earn a good legal income. They will say, no, not possible. But if they go abroad, they will do it. So our youths need to also understand that there's dignity in labor. No matter what you find your hands to do, if you do it diligently, there's no how you won't succeed. So we need to I think morals is the way morals have been degraded, and and now people do not even see any job as being that they can't even make anything from any job anymore. So the thing is, because we are glorifying politicians, we are glorifying our friends who might have made it through Yahoo and through killing, and so many things. So then the next thing you want to do is to get rich quick. Is that get rich quick syndrome? That is what is causing all this. Because even you and I, that we are doing legitimate business, we are not even safe. From morning till 11, sometimes we stay till 11 because we need to inform people. But once you take your small salary and you go home, one small boy, because he has peso, will come and begin to, So our youth should start to think that there is always dignity in labor. No matter how small, any small job that the federal government, the state government, or even individuals give you to do it diligently, and then
take pride in
you will
it.
see how you succeed rather than going into crime.
Absolutely, and despise not the days of little beginnings.
Yeah, crime exactly.
Before we go, we must send our heartfelt condolences to the family of the traditional monarch and the family of the journalist Olubunmi Afuye. We condole with you, and we hope
you can see a young promising journalist.
How long will the money they've stolen, how long will it last?
Will it last?
Compared to the life of a promising young man.
Promising journalist. May his soul rest in peace.
Yes, amen.
Amen.
Yes, amen.
And that's all we have for you on the program today. You can join us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Thanks again for watching. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Thank you, Emeka Madunago.
Thank you very
and
much.
Asuko James
Thank you
for being on the program. And that's it from us. Bye for now.